welcome to the first episode of our podcast series about content marketing. I'm sitting over here today with our friends from Stylight. We have Aurora here and Sean, who are content marketing heavyweights. Firstly, to introduce myself, my name is Samira Hersam. I'm the marketing manager at Launchmetrics, and I do work with content marketing daily, but not at the same level as these two girls who are really going to share with us their main tips about content marketing. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Aurora Starbuck and I'm the PR marketing manager for the UK at Stylight.
And I'm Shana Flaherty and I'm lead brand and content.
Great. So the first question that we'd like to have answered today is just to start off, for people who maybe don't know about content marketing or haven't worked with it, what is content marketing exactly?
So for me, content marketing is any kind of content, whether it be visual, video, written content, or a combination of all three, or even something a bit more elaborate than that, that's valuable, relevant, consistent, kind of information really, presented in any way that reflects your brand to a clearly defined audience. And I think the main kind of aim of content marketing that I think sort of defines its definition really is ultimately, does it give profitability to your brand or your platform or your company?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think Aurora summed it up pretty well there. I guess essentially, like in layman's terms, it's just another form of advertising.
Yeah.
But generally, it's sort of unpaid for and it's really organic and it's all about engaging with your consumers or your readers and providing them with content that on one side enhances your brand and promotes you, but also is something that they're going to really like to read and digest and something that's suitable for them.
Mm-hmm. So we have seen that content marketing has kind of been mentioned for a while now. It isn't as new of a buzzword as maybe other things. Is content marketing still a thing? Is it still relevant?
I would definitely say it is. I mean, ultimately it's to build traffic and brand awareness, and that's something that is kind of evergreen really for brands, whether you've been using content marketing since the term was kind of thought about years ago, or whether it's kind of something that you're just starting to engage with now. And I think the way my sort of main argument is that it is still a thing, is still very much prominent within the industry, if not growing bigger, is the fact that it's more organic, it's less salesy, from a PR point of view, it's more creative.
Yeah.
And I think now, like, the internet's so infiltrated with kind of millions of companies kind of fighting for audiences and to keep their audiences engaged. So for me, content marketing really does kind of cut through the noise there, and it kind of separates yourself from your sort of from the people that kind of from your competitors really. So I think it's something that if you do it right, you're onto a winner there. So for me, it's definitely still a thing.
Yeah, definitely. I think almost, as you said, it's been around for a long time, but almost I think it's kind of having a renaissance. Like I think there was a period a couple of years ago where it was all about bloggers, sponsored posts, like really heavy influencer marketing. And I think that obviously does still exist, but it's become a lot more, people have become a lot more savvy to it and maybe don't respond as well to it with sort of sponsored ads and things like that. I mean, personally, I hate when I see like bloggers sharing brands that sort of aren't the right fit for them and you can just tell it's paid for. So I think content marketing allows brands to communicate with these guys, but just do it in a way more natural way and have it not to be such sponsored content, but maybe just sort of be fun content that stands out.
Mm-hmm. Well, we also have a lot of things that go on now, like influencer marketing, and essentially isn't that just a development from content marketing? It's kind of just a development of how content marketing is now spreading into other areas, and now it's with influencers, and essentially it still is about engaging content, whether the term is content marketing or influencer marketing or native advertising. It all does lead back to the content.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, the content is completely key. And definitely to produce a good content marketing campaign, it's essential to involve influencers. Like the best campaigns we've seen definitely involve influencers. from all levels, sort of from bloggers up to sort of A-list celebrities. I think the thing that you kind of need to separate out with that is the difference between sort of just sponsored ads and retailers where they're just sort of they're giving bloggers clothes, which is sort of just more an advertising thing. Whereas content marketing a lot more has a kind of story behind it, has a strong message, has really nice visuals attached to it. So I think content marketing is more just a developed form of that. But yeah, it is essentially all part of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's kind of what I think holds kind of the glue together in content marketing, and I think how it, within a company or a platform or a brand, I think it's definitely the sort of area that is kind of the middle ground between sort of the commerce side, the communications and the PR side, and ultimately the audience. And I think it's the perfect kind of situation, an area where there's a constant two-way communication with your audience. So yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. It's all very interesting stuff, and it's also interesting to know, what is going on and how content marketing is evolving. But how do you actually build an audience through content marketing? Let's say if you're first starting out and you have a very small audience, how do you grow by using content marketing?
I mean, I think content marketing is amazing if you have a small audience, and I think it's also something that requires very little budget. So for small startups or just small brands, it's the perfect tool for you to use to build your brand awareness like infinitely. I think building an audience is definitely key, and it's a tricky thing to do when you start out. I think the main thing, which I'm sure Aurora can go into more, is how to sort of build up relationships with journalists. And that's all about sort of tailoring your content to the people you're sending it out to. So we try never to send out a blanket email of the same thing to all the journalists. We'll really tailor it to them. Like, don't send out your content to people who will never write about it. If it really doesn't fit them, I wouldn't send it out to them. And then just, engaging and interacting with your audience. So if we promote something on social media and we get a lot of comments on things, I always try to sort of get our social team to reply and interact, and often we'll adapt our content with what people are asking for on social. So sometimes they'll be like, why didn't you include this person? Or why does that look like that? And we'll adapt things, or we'll send stuff out directly to people. And it's that kind of tailored approach and adaptability that really allows you to build an audience and grow.
Yeah, I think Sean hit the nail on the head really. So for me, the only other sort of area or point that I touch on really is consistency within an audience. So find that niche that really engages your brand or your platform, or what you're promoting through your content, and really just keep that consistency up. It's great to kind of cover different things within your content marketing, because I think that in a way that's engaging, but still have that kind of DNA really with your content marketing. I mean, a lot of kind of the DNA of a brand is so important to an audience, and I think that's why people engage with that brand and follow it. And I think content marketing that a brand pushes out should have exactly the same kind of point really, and kind of covering that kind of basis really. Don't throw out something that isn't going to engage your audience, because that's why they follow you. So really have that kind of consistency approach. And I think for us as well, when it's all about kind of brand positioning and really finding like what is your niche within the market. Is it kind of serious, informative content? Is it fun and engaging? Is it take the mickey a little bit? There's so many things that you can kind of do to really kind of harness that audience and really build it through content marketing.
Yeah, I think if you're reliable and you're consistently producing that kind of content that people know you for, that's a great way of building your audience, because they're going to come back for more, they're going to think it's hilarious and share it. And I think that kind of reliability and consistency is really, really powerful.
Mm-hmm. I think that is something that you do really well at Stylight as well. And in our next episode, we will talk more about maybe some of your past campaigns and what you have done well in content marketing. So I think that there's definitely a lot that you can share about that. We've had a really interesting question come in from our audience. Somebody is asking, what is the most important thing in content marketing, the content itself or the execution?
That's a great question. And I think probably me and Aurora will have different answers to this, since I'm more of the content side and she's PR. For me, it's the content. Like, great content will just market itself, you know, like that will do all of the hard work for you, and you really don't have to put in too much work with great content. Like, if something's funny or just perfect to right timing with what's going on in the world, I think people will just automatically share it, and as long as you seed it out to the right people, it can really just take off and snowball. But I mean, also promoting it is always key.
Yeah, I think for me, it's kind of almost a bit of both, really. So I think great content does speak for itself, and if it falls into the right lap with the right person, the right publication, they'll write about it and they'll share it. However, for me, I think, and this is something that when our campaigns have gone viral, it's something that I kind of have to take a strategic approach still, to check that kind of, even though it has gone viral, or if a celebrity shared it, for example, and lots of publications have written about it, I still have to kind of check that the actual point that has come across from the celebrity has still been written about by the journalist. It hasn't kind of gone into like a grey area where it's kind of, the point's been missed, really. So for me, it's a bit of both, really. I think great content speaks for itself, but I think in certain situations, the execution is key as well. Yeah, really, yeah.
Yeah, I do agree that both things are important. And of course, as a PR, you may think that execution should be weighed slightly higher than a person who is a content strategist, as yourself, Sean. But those are really interesting points. And especially the part about listening to your audience that we brought up in the last question, that it actually, you have the tools nowadays with social media, with all of these different channels to actually get feedback from your audience.
Yeah. Definitely.
And use that.
Definitely. It's definitely a two-way approach now, and I think it's something that, whether you sort of think about the execution or the actual content itself, I think it's great that this whole two-way communication sort of model between your audience and the brand is so fluid nowadays. It's if as an audience, if you would prefer to have this type of content, tell the brand that you love, because I think it's important that the brand listens.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're creating it for them ultimately. So if it's something that they're not responding to, like, adapt it to them. You know, there's been so many times when, like, for example, our Minions campaign, like, that started way smaller, and we had a lot of requests coming in for different types of celebrities involved, and it just developed so much. Like, our team was creating stuff that our audience requested, and I think that's a really nice way of working for us as well, so we know it's going to work well. So yeah, put the audience first, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, Sean and Aurora. It's been a pleasure having you here today. I hope that our audience and our listeners will join us next time for part 2 of our podcast series on content marketing. And as mentioned, we'll be talking more about the different campaigns that you've been having with Stylight and the successes, also maybe the things that you've learned from these campaigns and what kind of knowledge you can share with our audience about that. So please send in your questions at LM Stylight. If you have any for Aurora and Sean, like I mentioned, they're content marketing heavyweights, so they're very willing to share their knowledge with us. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.